At 4:17 this morning, control of your satellite transferred to you. Congratulations! You now own a machine about the size of a school bus, more than 22,000 miles above Earth. It is moving at nearly 7,000 miles per hour. From the ground, it appears perfectly still. The satellite and its path to orbit cost a few $100 million. You will never physically touch it, and its roughly 15-year clock is already running. No ramp-up period, no grace period. The thing most likely to end the business is not broken electronics. It is something simpler, sealed inside the spacecraft. And the thing that could end it instantly may not be a hostile government or an anti-satellite weapon. It may be a dead satellite that nobody has steered for years. So what exactly did you buy? And can something already in orbit survive long enough to pay you back? The obvious answer is a satellite. The real answer is an operating system split between space and Earth. In orbit, you acquired the spacecraft, payload, power system, propulsion, and transponders, the channels that receive signals from Earth and send them back down. On the ground, the business depends on control rooms, antennas, engineers, licensed frequencies, contracts, and regulatory approvals. Most of the business you bought is still down here. Then there is its position. A geostationary satellite circles Earth at the same rate the planet rotates. That is why it appears fixed while moving thousands of miles per hour. But you did not buy that position like land. Orbital and frequency priority is coordinated through international filings and national licenses. Those rights must be brought into use, coordinated, and maintained. The sky looks unlimited. The commercially useful part is one 360-degree ring shared by governments, broadcasters, and communications companies worldwide. The scarce asset is not empty space. It is usable space that does not interfere with somebody else's business. And staying inside your part of it slowly consumes the satellite. Gravity from Earth, the Moon, and the Sun constantly nudges your satellite away from its assigned position. Operators correct that drift through station keeping. Small propulsion adjustments that keep it inside its orbital box. Every correction consumes propellant. The tank was filled before launch. This satellite was not designed for routine refueling. Many communications satellites retire with working antennas, electronics, and transponders. Without enough fuel to hold position, the business ends. Roughly 20 satellites a year are retired because their remaining propellant can no longer support continued operation, and you cannot spend every final drop earning revenue. International disposal guidelines and licensing rules require retirement planning. For a geostationary satellite, that usually means reserving enough fuel to raise it above the active ring into graveyard orbit. More than 500 retired satellites already sit there. Your final planned maneuver earns nothing. You spend the last useful resource in the spacecraft to remove it from the business. The 15-year design life is not 15 guaranteed years of full productivity. The tank may be nearly full today. It will never be fuller again. Your satellite does not sell bandwidth as one giant asset. It leases capacity through transponders. One can serve a television broadcaster, another can support ships at sea, another can carry government or military traffic. You are renting slices of the satellite's remaining life. Commercial leases may run 5 to 15 years, creating predictable cash flow. The customer that looks safest, however, may be the least locked in. At one point, government customers represented roughly 1/5 of Intelsat's revenue. But government capacity is often purchased through shorter agreements that may be renewed annually or canceled. A large customer renewing every year can expose more risk than a smaller customer committed for a decade. And even loyal customers now have alternatives operating thousands of miles below you. Low Earth orbit constellations such as Starlink offer global connectivity through large fleets closer to Earth. Different altitude, different technology, different economics. Your hardware may have 15 years. Your market does not have to wait that long. One bill has almost no parallel in ordinary business: insurance, coverage through launch. And the first year can cost between 5 and 25% of a satellite's insured value. On a $300 million spacecraft, that is $15 million to $75 million before the asset proves itself. In 2023, space insurers collected about $557 million in premiums, and paid approximately $995 million in claims, a net loss of roughly $438 million. Viasat-3 Americas alone generated an insurance claim of approximately $445 million after a major deployment problem. One satellite, almost $500 million. SpaceX reportedly buys little third-party insurance for individual Starlink satellites. With thousands of spacecraft, it can spread individual losses across the fleet. You own one. There is no roadside assistance at geostationary orbit. You still pay for ground control, tracking, compliance, cybersecurity, and engineers monitoring an asset that never closes. Then, at 2:14 in the morning, one of those engineers receives an alert. Something else is coming close. Another object is projected to pass near your satellite. Move, and you consume fuel that determines its remaining life. Stay, and you accept the collision estimate. The danger people imagine is deliberate. China destroyed one of its own satellites during a weapons test in 2007. Russia carried out another destructive test in 2021, but the first confirmed accidental collision between two intact satellites required no weapon. On February 10, 2009, the active Iridium-33 collided with the dead Russian spacecraft Cosmos 2251 above northern Siberia. The closing speed was approximately 26,000 miles per hour. Both objects were tracked, but no operational warning reached the owners in time. The impact created more than 2,000 trackable fragments. More than 1,000 were still being tracked 15 years later. That collision happened far below your satellite, in the more crowded region of low Earth orbit. It is not a perfect model of your risk. It proves the larger problem. Dead spacecraft remain dangerous after their businesses end. At collision speeds like that, even an object smaller than a coin can be destructive, and the smallest fragments are difficult to track. Your operators perform the avoidance maneuver. Nothing breaks, but the fuel spent escaping danger can never be used for station keeping. The spacecraft survived. The investment still got older. Start with the base case. Use an illustrative acquisition basis of $300 million and a full 15-year revenue window. The satellite must recover about $20 million annually just to repay that price evenly, before operations, financing, insurance, or any return to you. Now flip one variable. 8 years in, assume low Earth orbit competitors capture half the customer base your satellite could realistically serve. The spacecraft still works. The $20 million annual hurdle does not move. Your ability to clear it collapses. That is not just a spreadsheet problem. Motorola spent roughly $5 to $6 billion building and launching Iridium's 66 satellite constellation. By May 1999, Iridium had barely 10,000 subscribers against a forecast of roughly 500,000. The hardware worked. The market did not arrive at the scale the original price required. Iridium entered Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Then, new investors acquired the operating constellation and related assets for approximately $25 million, less than half of 1% of the original build cost, and eventually made the business viable. Different orbit, different service, same financial lesson. The satellites did not become better. The price became realistic. Extraordinary hardware can be a terrible purchase at one price and a viable business at another. So, did you buy a permanent toll booth in the sky? Not exactly. You bought remaining transponder capacity, customer contracts, operating rights, and a machine with a fixed fuel supply. The orbital position remains useful only while the satellite can hold it. The cash flow lasts only while customers keep paying. And the purchase works only when the price reflects the years, fuel, and market demand still remaining. The engineering can work perfectly while the investment fails. A successful geostationary satellite eventually ends the way it was designed to end. Nearly empty. Pushed above the working fleet. Parked in the dark. The question was never whether it ends. The question is whether it pays you back before it does.